So my name is Sharon de la Cruz. I'm an artist and I do a whole bunch of things, and I think Lauren said it nicely. I go into spaces and I fill it a little bit. But what I'm gonna focus on now is, or today for this presentation, is how I'm filling the space at Princeton University. So I'm currently the director of the StudioLab, which is a creative tech lab at Princeton. And this is what I normally look like when I make art, right? It tends to get a little angry. And I really intentionally make art with the hopes of touching what I feel is important, which there is a lot. But hopefully that is not the face that I make when I teach. And also, I don't expect everyone to understand where I am coming from because I'm a very specific person, but what I do expect everyone to do, especially in the space that I run, is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you are very comfortable, something is wrong. Because there's a lot to be uncomfortable about. So in this space, what I do is I challenge students, I challenge folks to be uncomfortable. I walk into Princeton University and I'm damn uncomfortable every day. But being uncomfortable is what I almost love to do, which is weird, but. And so, you know, and being uncomfortable too in a tech space means, like, when do you use tech or not? And so this summer I read this wonderful book called Mindstorms, which you should read if you haven't, by Seymour Papert. And I just really love this quote, which talks to true computer literacy is not just knowing how to make use of computers and computational ideas, it's knowing when it's appropriate to do so. And I think that idea funnels into the pedagogy of the space in the StudioLab and what I hope to do. And when you understand that technology can mean a lot of things, like a sewing machine or paint, things get really exciting. So then you can paint on a circuit and teach folks about resistance without ever holding a resistor. Right? Like, that's kind of crazy. And it's been really fun to look at STEM accessibility, especially particularly I'm interested in tech deserts, and how do you bring STEM education to tech deserts, which include jails, which include marginalized communities, which include folks who unfortunately been funneled code as a means of a job instead of expression. But when you get, and so it gets really exciting when you stop thinking about, when you look at tech in a more expansive way, which means that this summer I got to collaborate with P5JS, which is pretty exciting, to read Mindstorms together and just have a whole bunch of educators come together and talk about that space and talk about what, and so Seymour Papert talks about, you know, like this, like, almost like really ideal space. And I'm like, yeah, everyone knows diversity is good, right? So let's get it together, like, show me what that looks like. And so this summer, you know, we really were challenging each other to show what diversity looks like. Stop talking about that it's so great, do it, right? And so this is really fun because when you talk about diversity and you actually, like, do it, you get things like this. Oh no, this is a video. Oh, it's not gonna play. I'll describe it anyway. It's a video with where I was working again with conductive paint and made a origami bird out of conductive paint and paper, and just started learning how to do, like, basically machine learning. And as an artist, I don't think in code. That's not really like, but for whatever reason I use it because I think it's exciting. And so it's allowed me to take these very physical items and take my art and translate and find a middle ground. And the second video I'll describe is when you stop thinking about tech so one-sided, then you go into NPR and make this, like, for Radiolab, and make this crazy plant dropper and learn about mimosa plants, right? Like, that's ridiculous. And then it's about also when the physical space stops talking about how great diversity is and actually does it, you get to celebrate the little things, like putting up a freaking HTC Vive up and figuring things out, because even if you don't know about virtual reality, you've put it on the table physically so that people can draw with it, right? So that people can interact with it. I see tech as drawing tools all the time, and usually I use tech in really unfunctional ways, which is also very exciting. But again, the StudioLab, what I'm challenging folks to do is just to think about the pedagogy of a physical space. And a lot of like what we've talked about here today, I think, is like the open source idea, right? And it lives online and is kind of this abstract space, but I also think that that is a privilege, right? To participate in that. So what does it mean that we can create a physical space that is engaging? And that's it. And that's what I look like most of the time. I don't know why I'm here, who's here, what am I doing all of the time, but that's what I run with and that's what I love to do. And so that's what I bring to Princeton University. Thank you.